الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على من كانت معجزته الكلمة وسنده البيان ودليله القول واللسان وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. السيدة المعاونة للشؤون العلمية المحترمة، السيد رئيس قسم اللغة الإنجليزية المحترم، السيدان الضيفان الكريمان من جامعة بابل المحترمان، السادة الأساتذة الأجلاء، أبنائنا الطلبة، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. يقال إن الحياة تبدو باهتة دون مفاجآت، وأن الأيام تبدو متشابهة متناظرة دون تغيرات. لذا يعتمد قسم اللغة الإنجليزية مبدأ المفاجأة دائما وعنصر التغيرات في الأعم الأغلب، ذلك بأنه غالبا ما يفاجئنا بندوة علمية متميزة أو مؤتمر لم يسبق له عهد أو بمحاضرة لا نظير لها من ذي قبل، فهو يعتمد مبدأ التميز. وقديما قيل بأن الإبداع هو ما أن ترى ما يراه الآخرون وتفكر فيما لم يفكر فيه أحد، وأشهد لقسم اللغة الإنجليزية بالإبداع والتميز، وهو على الرغم من أنه قريب العهد بالولادة إلا أنه كبير بإمكانياته وإبداعاته والسعة المعرفية لأساتذته. فأتذكر فيما أتذكر بأن الجائحة حينما ضربت العراق وقانا الله وإياكم منها، لم يركن قسم اللغة الإنجليزية إلى الدعاء أو يؤثر الراحة على العمل والعلم، بل استطاع وبجدارة أن يعقد أكثر من محاضرة مع جامعة عالمية دولية، فقد كان لهم باع في هذا المجال بصورة ملفتة للنظر. فقد كانت لهم محاضرة مع جامعة ميامي الأمريكية ومع جامعة أخرى، ومحاضرة ثالثة مع جامعة بريطانية عن الدراما في المسرح، ومحاضرة أخرى مع جامعة من جامعات أستراليا. وأذكر فيما أذكر أنه في يوم من الأيام دعاني الدكتور ضياء حينما كان رئيسا للقسم جزاه الله خيرا بأن أدخل إلى إحدى المحاضرات، فتأخرت دقيقتين فحسب، فامتنع البرنامج من إدخالي لأن كان هنالك أكثر من 500 شخص قد امتلأت العدد المطلوب للمحاضرة، ولم أستطع الدخول مطلقا. هذا يدل على قيمة تلك المحاضرة، ويدل على تميز قسم اللغة الإنجليزية وشغف الأساتذة من جميع جامعات العراق وغير الجامعات العراقية في الدخول إلى مثل هذه المحاضرات المتميزة. أكرر شكري إلى قسم اللغة الإنجليزية وأدعو لهم بالتوفيق دائما، وأستشهد بقول الشاعر الذي يقول: عمر الرجال يقاس بالمجد الذي شادوه لا بتقادم الأعوام. أكرر شكري للجميع وللضيفين العزيزين، وأتمنى أن تكون الندوة ذات تميز كما الندوات التي عقدها قسم اللغة الإنجليزية، فالإبداع سمة لهم فهما صنوان لا يفترقان. شكرا جزيلا لكم.
شكرا جزيلا للأستاذ الدكتور سيروان عبد الزهراء الجنابي عميد الكلية المحترم على هذه الكلمة التي أشاد فيها بقسم اللغة الإنجليزية والدور الذي يطلع بها السادة رؤساء الأقسام والسادة مقرري القسم على مر تلك الأزمان، فشكرا جزيلا له. يا طالب العلم، أنت الشمس ساطعة، من فيض علمك خيرات ستنهمر. يا طالب العلم أبشر، قد غدوت لنا عزا ومجدا، وبالأمجاد نفتخر. هذبت روحا بأصناف العلوم، وقد سموت فوق جيوش الجهل تنتصر. كلمة السيد رئيس قسم اللغة الإنجليزية الدكتور قاسم حسن صبيح، استقبلوه بالتصفيق الحال.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Friends, colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And welcome you all in the first symposium in the English department Faculty of Education. Of course, this is Qasim Hassan Sabir, the head of the Department of English Language and Literature. And on the behalf of the department, I'd like to express my gratitude. I'd like to express my thanks for Dr. Sarwan, the Dean of the Faculty, and also I'd like to express my gratitude to Dr. Qabas. Once again, I'd like to extend my special thanks and welcome for the our guest speakers, and my colleagues, Dr. Qasim Abbas Daib and Dr. Raad Karim Abed Awan from University of Babylon, of course, who traveled far to join us today. And most welcome for other guests, especially from University of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq and other friends. Thank you so much for your coming and joining us today. Of course, the topic of our today's symposium is Writing Research Primer for Language and Arts, and this symposium this symposium is part of the English Department workshop and seminar series, and which is in turn part of maybe a department policy of holding conferences, symposiums, workshops, and lectures, and of course with cooperating with other universities locally and internationally. And as you know, and as the Dean mentioned before, the department has hosted many professors from local and international universities, specifically, for example, from University of Karbala, Babylon, Tikrit, and Basra, and from international universities such as the University of Exeter, Newcastle from UK, University of South Carolina, University of Oregon, and University of Arizona from US. And also nowadays we have video conferences with other universities, for example, from South Carolina, Peru, Department of Anthropology and Department of Sociology, American University in Macedonia, and other universities. Of course, the department has organized this symposium in the belief of the importance of writing research papers or writing research in the academic field, specifically or especially in literary and linguistic studies. Of course, the aim of this symposium is to enhance the students' ability in writing academic research paper. Finally, and once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us today and for your presence. And I hope that you will enjoy our event today. Thank you so much.
شكرا جزيلا للدكتور قاسم حسن صبير. التجارب الإيجابية لطلبة قسم اللغة الإنجليزية، الطلبة المتخرجون من قسم اللغة الإنجليزية. نستمع وإياكم للطالبة المتخرجة مها لفتة مرزوق، يليها طالب أسعد أديب عدنان لارتقاء المنصة وإيضاح تجاربهم ومدى استفادتهم من البحث العلمي وما أثرى عليهم ذلك من جهد ومجهود وفائدة في حياتهم العملية. فليتفضل.
And slips in political speech. Okay? Okay, it's not a good time. He's going to be speaking about, he will be speaking about research methodology, theoretical framework versus practical analytical part. And he's really well at doing that, so I'm going to give him the floor. Please honor the guest by giving him full attention, okay, and avoid any distractions. Thank you very much. Is that for you, please? Just a quick and gentle reminder that the time limit is 15 minutes, okay? And there's going to be 5 minutes for Q&A session.
Time's already started before I start.
Okay.
Yes, so 3 minutes time. Yes. Bismillah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. Good morning, my colleagues. Good morning, students. I'm going to talk about research methodology, which is part of the multi-level process of the thesis or research papers in general. Before we start the main steps of the research methodology, there are some definitions that should be taken into account about what is research. Research can be defined as a scientific and systematic research or pertinent information on a specific topic, or it is an art of scientific investigation or careful investigation of the inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. So we can have more than one definition for the academic research. Now we move to the objectives behind the research. Well, research could be a goal or an aim by a student for different reasons. One of them is to gain familiarity with a phenomenon or to achieve a new insight into it. Studies with this object in view are termed as exploratory or formulative research, or to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual situation or a group. Studies with this object in view are known as descriptive research studies, or to test a hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables. Such studies are known as hypothesis testing or hypothesis verification, let us say. Well, to carry out a research, there are many motivations or reasons to get a research degree along with its consequential benefits, or desire to face the challenge in solving the unsolved problems, concern over practical problems initiates research, or desire to get intellectual joy of doing some creative work, or desire to be of service to society, or desire to get respectability. Well, research could be of different types: descriptive, analytical. Descriptive includes series of fact-finding inquiries of different affairs as it exists at present. The main characteristic of this method is that the researcher has no control over the variables, can only report what has happened or what is happening. The analytical research is what? In which the researcher has used facts or information already available and analyzed these to make a critical evaluation of the material. 2. Applied or fundamental. A research could be applied when it aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem facing a society or industrial business organization, whereas the fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalizations and with the formulation of a theory. 3. We have quantitative or qualitative. In the quantitative, which is based on the measurement of a quantity or amount, it is applicable to phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity. And the qualitative research, which is mainly concerned with the qualitative phenomena relating to involving quality or kind. For example, when we sought or we are interested in investigating the reasons for human behavior, or an important type of qualitative research could be referring to motives or desires, and these are researched in depth through interviews or data that could be written text. We have the conceptual and the empirical. The conceptual, which is related to some abstract ideas or theory. It is generally used by philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret existing ones. And the empirical research relies on experience or observation alone, often without due regard to or for system and theory. It is data-based research coming up with conclusions which are capable of being verified.
Okay, MLA, APA, Chicago, and online resources, endnotes, and so on. Okay, so please let's honor him by paying full attention and avoiding any distractions. Before that, let me talk about Dr. Raad Karim. He has a PhD in English literature. He's a professor at the Department of English, College of Education for Human Sciences at the University of Babylon. His area of research interest is modern drama, post-colonial literature and literacy theory, modern Iraqi literature. He has been working as a professor since 2001. He has attended several conferences. For example, Second Scientific Conference, College of Education for Human Sciences, and Fourth Scientific Conference, College of Education at the University of Babylon, International Conference on English Language and Literary Studies, Department of English Language and Literature, Faculty of Philosophy, University of Montenegro. He has published several publications, including Character Transformation as Epic Element in S.T. Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, and Isaac Rosenberg, Man, Soldier, Poet, Journal of Human Sciences, College of Education, and Childhood Memories and Selected Poems by Seamus Heaney, Journal of Human Sciences, Proceedings of the Third Scientific Conference. Okay, so let's welcome Dr. Raad. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وآله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's always a pleasure to be here. And I'm always happy to meet my colleagues, my friends, Dr. Qasim, Dr. Lia. Yes. We would have loved to have Mr. Majid with us here today, but he is pursuing his PhD in the UK. We wish him all success and a safe return. So I'm going to talk about documentation styles, which are one of the basic components of research. Documenting your research paper is essential not only because it tells us that you have been preparing for your research, you have been reading, doing a lot of reading for your research. It doesn't only tell us that you are keeping yourself safe from being accused of plagiarism, which is referred to, I think, by Kate Al-Turabian in her book as an academic crime punishable by academic death. There is another reason which is very important, that is, you are telling other people who are reading your research, whether they are other students, they are your supervisor and the other professors who are going to discuss your research, other people who are interested in the field, you are pointing them to the material you have been using, to the papers, books, websites, journals, etc., etc. This is very important because you are helping other people find relevant material. Some of the documentation styles which are used are the American Political Science Association. Of course, each discipline has its own method of documentation. There is the American Psychological Association, then we have the Chicago Turabian, there is the Council of Biology Editors, Modern Language Association, and there is the numbered reference. We are concerned with, as students of the English language, you are encouraged to use the Chicago Turabian references type. And the best, let us say, our Bible in this field is Kate L. Turabian's A Manual for Writers and Research Papers, Theses and Dissertations. It is the reference work in this regard. It was first published in 1949. This is the second edition. The first edition appeared in 1937, but it wasn't, it didn't go through the printing process. This book, the 9th edition of Turabian's book, corresponds to the 9th edition, to the 17th edition of the Chicago Manual of Style. So they are corresponding. Of course, the 9th edition was published in 2018, and it is the adopted edition to date. There is the 10th edition hasn't appeared yet. Now, so when you are writing your paper, whether it is in literature, in linguistics, or in methods of teaching, you will need to document yourself in two ways. You will need notes, and you will need to document your sources in the bibliography. You will need to know a number of things about the resources you use. You will need to know the author or the authors, the date of publication, the title, subtitles, and sometimes there is more than one subtitles. There are 2 or 3 subtitles depending on the work you are dealing with. You will need to know the part, the volume, the edition, etc., the place of the publication and publisher. These information are vital. A successful researcher does not miss any of them. This is not something that is secondary. It is very essential. It tells us that you are a good researcher. It tells us that you actually have been listening and you are actually following instructions. If you miss the date of publication, the place of publication, or the publisher, it tells us that you are not being careful. It tells us that you are negligent of some basic information which are needed. Other elements include the URL, which is the Uniform Research Locator, the access date, timestamp, media format, etc. This is for electronic publications, and you will definitely find a lot of the material you need for your paper online. A note which I haven't written here, but it is very important and you should be very careful about it. Not everything that is published online is suitable for research. خلي أحكيها بالعربي. مو كل شيء تلقاه منشور على الانترنت مفيد بالبحث العلمي. اكو معلومات خطأ، اكو معلومات غير دقيقة، اكو بيبر حلو ومرتب بس هو كاتبه طالب بالمتوسطة او بالاعدادية وناشرة. You cannot use that in your paper. You have to be very careful where to get your information from. You have to be very careful and you have to select. Not everything that is online, I repeat, not everything that is online is suitable to be taken. Now, for the order of the information you use, or the order of the elements you use, generally speaking, they are the same. If you are using footnotes, endnotes, or endnotes, and the bibliography, there are slight differences in the use of the comma and the full stop, and the arrangement of the name. Generally speaking, you are going to use parenthetical quotations. You will use your notes between 2 parentheses, and the full documentation will follow in the bibliography, as we are going to see in this example. If you are quoting from an article or a book with a single author, for the parenthetical documentation style, as you can see on the screen, you will only write the last name of the author, Duckworth, followed by the year, followed by a comma, and then the page number. There is another style which is a slightly different. You will write the name Duckworth, followed by a comma, followed by the year, followed by a colon, and then the page numbers. اكو اختلاف بسيط هنا، يعني هنا الاسم بعد السنة فارزة